So just a little bit ago, Melissa and I came back from our morning walk and we just missed the rain. And I don't know why, but 3 times last night I woke up in the middle of the night and I thought, I need to cook breakfast in the morning and I need to put it on Facebook Live. Now, I'm probably thinking this is because we've been watching Alton Brown and his wife do their thing this week. And it's kind of funny to watch them cook together. But I kind of figured I would just cook and show you what I do. I've had a couple other people in the church especially ask about how we cook the food we cook. Melissa and I just kind of do it. We don't really have a system to it or a method. Neither of us are classically trained chefs, although I will say that I wanted to open a restaurant before I got in the ministry, but never got to that training piece. So what I'm going to do is we're actually going to bake some bacon. I've set out most of our stuff. I'm going to make some squash and zucchini and mushrooms. Do some hash browns, and then I'm going to cook eggs. Now, I don't know how many of you know this, but Melissa used to sell Pampered Chef, and we got a lot of our cooking utensils and tools and stuff like that way. Something we swear by and almost use every day is a nice stone cooking sheet. I think they actually call it a bar pan. We pretty much always bake our bacon in this, and I learned how to bake bacon from Alton Brown, and so it pretty much always comes out nice and fairly flat. This is thick cut bacon. Just happens to be the right brand that we bought, I think, from Sam's Club. So part of what I do is this is not a greased pan, but I just kind of lay the raw bacon out. And we have found with this thicker cut bacon on the bar pan, we can get usually 9 pieces of bacon on here. I don't know how many I've got. I'm just going to use the rest of this package. Doesn't look like quite 9 pieces. And one of the keys to getting good baked bacon is actually to put it in a cold oven. That's why I do the bacon first. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this in the oven, and we will set the oven to 425 degrees. And I'm going to go ahead and set a timer for probably 25 minutes. Since I'm only doing 1 sheet of bacon, it'll cook a lot faster. With our family and our kids, a lot of times we got to do 2 sheets of bacon, and we kind of rotate it. What Alton Brown said was that once the oven comes up to temperature, then you can put about a 12-minute timer on it. And of course, every oven's a little different, so you got to figure that out on your own about how long to bake it. Like I said, for the thick cut bacon, Melissa and I figured out that we usually go about 25 to 28 minutes, depending on how the oven's working. So just to explain what I'm going to be doing here, I like to cook my potatoes in cast iron. It gives that nice crunch that Melissa really likes. I'm going to be cooking my zucchini and squash back here, and then I'll finish up with the eggs because eggs get cold, so that'll be the last thing that I do today. I don't know why our kids, especially Leah in particular, likes to call this Squish-Squash. She's called that from a young age, but we actually like eating squash as a part of our breakfast. And so since I'm cooking the squash and the zucchini, and I've only got about 3 mushrooms, but they're big mushrooms, we'll do those all together. I like to cook them cut them about that far. It's maybe 1/4 to 1/2 inch, nice bite-sized pieces. And so I'm going to cut up these 3 squash. Now the squash and zucchini will cook a lot faster than the potatoes will, but I like to do a lot of my prep piece at cutting first, so I can get that out of the way. And just so you know, before someone makes a comment, yes, Melissa's back there, and she thinks this is a bad idea. She thinks that she doesn't know why I felt like I needed to put it on Facebook, but why not? I've been preaching to a blank congregation for the last couple weeks, so I guess I can cook to you all today. This is probably my favorite knife. This is one of those knives Melissa got while she was selling Pampered Chef. I think it's the Santoku. It's just kind of a regular knife, but it's got these nice little ridges in it. It means that the veggies don't stick to it. It's big enough that it'll cut most things, but it's not so big that it gets unwieldy. And we've had these squash for a couple of days, so that one's got a spot that's not very good. I'll not include that in. I'm surprised that I got a handful of you watching. Okay, so our summer squash, our Squish-Squash as Lee likes to call it, is cut. Next I'm going to do our zucchinis and our mushrooms. When we were in Corridon, almost 8-9 years ago now, we used to like to go to the Waffle House, and I know that it's the awful waffle, but that was part of our Friday routine. Is we met our friend Kim Wilkinson over there, and we'd always get the hash browns, and we like to add onions, peppers, and mushrooms. Now, the first time we went, we thought we were getting green peppers, but they weren't green peppers, they were jalapenos. And so a lot of times we've gotten used to the fact that we like jalapenos in our potatoes. It kind of gives that little extra kick. Melissa really likes jalapenos in hers, or at least the jalapeno juice. Right there?
Yeah.
She's back there washing dishes, staying off camera on purpose. But I mean, you can kind of make your potatoes however you want. We've added a lot of squash and zucchini to our diet just to add extra vegetables, and we like them, so they're good. I'm going to go throw this away. Let's see. A chef and a pastor. What can go with loaves and fishes? I can't do anything with loaves and fishes there, Brad Kirk. We did not learn how to deal with that at seminary. I don't even have to wash the dishes out. Melissa will tell you I really don't wash dishes. She gets fed up with me not cleaning up after myself while I'm cooking, and so she usually does it first. I don't do that on purpose. Mm-hmm. She claims that I do.
I just don't like a dirty kitchen. I don't like cooking in a dirty kitchen.
She says she doesn't like a dirty kitchen, and she doesn't want to cook in a dirty kitchen. Also, we do a lot of fillers with mushrooms. It doesn't add a whole lot of calories, but yet it adds some good flavor. One of the things that I read probably about a year ago, whenever we started to kind of get serious about what we're doing and what we're eating, is that find ways to add flavor without adding calories. I can't say that we always do a great job of that, but yet we've been trying. Our health insurance has this OMADA program that I think it's actually trying to keep people from getting diabetes, but I started doing that, and I'm not saying we do a great job of eating healthy. In fact, I'm going to use quite a bit of bacon grease and butter today, so that's probably not very healthy, but it tastes good and we like it. We've been walking about 3.5 miles a day for most of the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, when it's not raining.
When it's not raining, yeah. We've had a couple of days where we've gotten rained out, and that's rather annoying. We used to have a a treadmill, and we tried that, but I don't like walking on a treadmill. It's kind of, as Melissa says, she always needs that carrot in front of her. At least here in town, we've got some good scenery to look at, and we can walk around town. Today we kind of stayed up on our little shelf and ended up just walking the flat ground. But let's see what else is being said. There's quite a few comments. Surprisingly. Let's see. Vicky Christopher, great teamwork. There you go, dear. You got a shout out from Vicky. You are commentating your food with fungus.
I just know my role.
I've got some coconut oil, Vicky Christopher. I don't know. I guess I'm just not used to using it.
You don't like coconut. Right?
And I'm not a big fan of coconut, so I think there's this mental piece where I think that it's just going to make everything taste like coconut. We keep most of our oils up here, but yeah, I got coconut oil. Our kids and our family eat a lot of bacon, and so we used to have a smaller jar that we used, but with as much as we've been cooking, and we've actually not been using it as much because it's a lot healthier not to, we went to a bigger jar, and so this is our bacon drippings jar. We keep it in the fridge. And so I've got my mushrooms, my zucchini, and my squash cut. The last thing to cut is onion. Oh. I know that supposedly there are people out there who can cut an onion and not cry, but I don't know who that is. I've never met one. Adrian says, you guys, not your... send Melissa north to cook for you. Noodles, please, dear. You got an order.
Okay, well, she has to come to Indiana.
Adrian, she says, if you want noodles, then you got to come to Indiana. And if you come to Indiana, then she says she'll go north. Just letting you know. So, I'm going to cut some onion up, and then we'll actually start cooking here. I guess actually we already started cooking because the bacon's in the oven. And it says we got 15 minutes. I'm hoping that I can get a place where everything's just about done at the same time. We've been cooking breakfast a lot for the kids since they're home, doing the homeschool, online school, whatever you want to say. And I think I've kind of gotten better at the timing of it, but I'm not great yet. I probably should have cut my veggies before I put the bacon in the oven. I'm not saying I'm going to do this a lot, but I don't know. Like I said, I felt like it was something I needed to do. Matt Harmon says, me, you want my New York germs there? Well, it depends on which doctors and nurses you're talking to. I mean, you're one of our nurse friends, so you tell us. They're talking about this whole herd mentality and making sure that we get herd immunity. So maybe your New York germs could help us out. Of course, by the same token, here in Perry County, we've only had 11 cases. As of yesterday, I think. So I'm kind of afraid that we're going to be the latecomers, and probably the end of May, we're going to get a whole slew of them. So I'm actually going to encourage our church. I hate to say this, but I'm going to encourage that we just don't meet in person until the end of May for certain. I really don't like that. As Brad Kirk knows from seminary, and some of the rest of you guys who know me, I'm a people person, and I like being around people, but I want everybody to stay safe too. So you've got no cases? Well, you are out there in the plains. I mean, my goodness, do you even have people around? No cases in my county. Well, anyway, back to cutting the onion. Hey, I did so far. The first onion, no problems. Let's see if I can get that with the second onion. Someone told me that wearing a hat and glasses helps. I didn't put in my contacts today, so maybe the fact that I'm wearing glasses will help, but it hasn't always helped me in the past. I don't know if there's a right or wrong way to cut an onion, but I like to kind of cut through the onion. I cut it in half first, and now this one's absolutely going everywhere on me. So of course I try to be fancy and then I mess it up. Hey, our oven just went to temperature. Again, 425, cold oven, put the bacon in. If you don't have a stone pan, we've done it over the church where we use just a regular cookie sheet and put like parchment paper down so it's easier to clean. And then, like I said, after about 12 minutes, once it comes up to temperature, then you want to check your bacon and see how it's doing. Like I said, it came up to temperature and we've got 13 minutes left on our timer. I did 25 to start with. And I'm almost done with the onion, and I can feel it starting to do its work. Let's see if I can finish this before it starts to make me cry. Hey, I think I got lucky. I think I just finished my onion, and for once, it didn't make me cry. There you go. So, Carolyn Payline. Hello, what time do we eat? Well, Carolyn, I guess if you wanted to come over, our kids are still asleep, so you could eat their portion. Scott Taylor, St. Joseph's County now has the 5th highest number of cases in the state. My goodness, what are you doing up there, Scott? Are you just kind of like shipping it in? Like I said, we're down here in the hills. I mean, well, you know where Tell City is. You were in Corridon there for a little while. So we just, I don't know, we're so isolated from the rest of the state. It's kind of, I mean, we've gotten out probably more than most people. We've gone to Owensboro a time or two and Evansville a time or two, but realistically, people just don't get out. We kind of stay around here. So anyway, to cooking. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my potatoes started because I want those to have that nice crisp crunch that Melissa likes. So I'm going to turn on my cast iron, maybe, and of course our gas stove is going to act up today. I don't know why our gas stove, the big burner, the lighter doesn't always want to work. There we go.
It's because it's the one we use the most.
Probably because, yeah, as Melissa said, it's the one we use the most. I cry for many reasons. Onions are only one reason. Missing you is another. Aw, Brad, you weren't that sappy in seminary. Oh, you're up near Chicago. I guess I thought you were on the other side, closer to Ohio. But yeah, Chicago's got a lot of cases. I was talking to a friend of mine who used to live in Chicago, and they moved away last summer, and he's like, man, am I glad we got out of that. So, cast iron is on. I got it to about medium-high heat. I want to use our nice little bacon drippings. And I've noticed if you've got a good cast iron, it actually doesn't require as much oil. It makes a good coat, and so you can actually save yourself a little bit of calories. I don't know how they actually measure calories and fat and things like that. But you can save yourself a little bit of calories by going that route. And because it's cast iron with the good fat on there, it doesn't stick as well. If your lighter doesn't work, just try leaving the gas on. Everything will eventually light. Yes, it will. In fact, Brad Kirk, they've been working on the gas lines down the alley here. Apparently last year when there was that house that blew up in New Jersey, they passed some kind of a law saying that all of the gas across the U.S. has to have new regulators put on it. So they've been working on it, telling us our house will not blow up, but I'm sure it would eventually. So the bacon drippings are heating up in that. And actually for my zucchini and squash, I'm going to use butter, not margarine. I actually prefer butter, the unsalted butter. Melissa prefers to use margarine. I'm not 100% certain why. I think it's just because it's cheaper. Any of you who know Melissa knows that she goes the cheapest route she can without skimping. She's frugal. think for what I've got here, I'm going to use a half a stick of butter. And then we'll put this other half in our butter keeper and stick it back in the fridge. I'm going to season actually both my potatoes. See, look, the back burner started without any problem. Our potatoes and our squash and zucchini with salt and pepper grinders. Melissa really likes that better. And then I'm going to use some garlic powder and a little bit of paprika. I like just a little, it's not really a kick, but it just kind of adds that more flavor. So I'm going to let my butter melt. My bacon grease is almost melted here. So I'm going to kind of swirl this around, make sure it's getting coated. First thing I'm going to do is put my onions in. And I'll save some of it back. And I'm going to cheat and we got bagged hash browns. Well, I guess technically they're not hash brown, they're diced hash brown potatoes. I've never understood why they call both the shredded and the diced both hash browns. I'm sure that there's some kind of reason behind it, but I'm just going to pour some of these in here. You don't want too many because, again, you want that nice brown. And I'm going to stick this back in the freezer. Ooh. Of course, I turned on the wrong burner. No one ever does that, do they? Put some salt. And some pepper. Let's see. No questions or comments, so I'm just going to keep cooking here. Some salt and pepper. A little bit of garlic powder. I read somewhere that garlic is good for the heart, and when I discovered that I liked the flavor of garlic, I do a lot of seasoning with garlic. We use a lot of fresh garlic and garlic powder. I probably have used more garlic powder than almost anything else. Matt Harmon, did you turn the back burner on? Yes, I did, but originally I turned on the front burner, which I'm using for eggs, and that doesn't help me cook my squash. I saw the front burner come on. Yeah, I messed that up. I am not a professional chef. I love to cook. I actually love to have people over and to cook for people. I think that's probably why in most of our churches I've tried to start some kind of a meal program. I know our church in Oakland City, when I first started seminary, they did a monthly feeding program, and that's kind of where I learned how to cook for bulk for a lot of people. A lot of months we'd have 150, 200 people come to that meal. And then when we moved to Corridon, they didn't have a feeding program, but we did end up going into New Albany to a church and helped out there a couple times. And it was really in Oakland City where we started doing our Maundy Thursday service, where we cook a big meal and we do the sheep and everything. And people really enjoyed that, and so we started doing it more frequently, those kind of things. Unfortunately, I've never really had a parsonage that had a good enough kitchen where I felt like I could invite a bunch of people over and we could cook together and do that. I don't know. Melissa's always been one of those hospitality people. She absolutely has the gift of hospitality, loves to make people feel welcomed, and so she's a very good hostess. I'm not always a very good host. And yes, Pam, we are fixing brunch of sorts. Love to see a man cooking. Teach Steve. Gene, I'm not for sure what I can teach Steve. Steve taught me all kinds of stuff. Sarah Connor, Mom says she'll be over to eat. Well, if she leaves Oakland City right now, Sarah, then by the time she gets here, it'll be ready. because it's about an hour. Actually, it'll be cold by the time she gets here, though. Sorry. My butter is just about melted for our squash and mushrooms. So I'm going to go ahead and throw those in. Again, that's our yellow summer squash, some zucchini, and the few mushrooms that we had. And I think Melissa could just eat this for her breakfast pretty much every day. Squash and zucchini and mushrooms. We really eat a lot of that. Just some fresh ground black pepper. Some cracked sea salt. Garlic powder. And just a little bit of paprika. Well, that was a lot more paprika than I was thinking, but oh well, it'll taste good. So let's stir this up, try and get a little bit of coating on these veggies so it'll start to cook. Let's see. We got 14 people watching. That's kind of crazy. Thank you guys for watching. I don't know why I'm doing this. As I said when I first began, I just kind of felt like I should kind of show a little bit of how we cook. And if you've ever lived nearby, you know that we like to eat. Brad, if you're still watching, did you ever come over for the Larrabee dinners when we had them back in seminary? I was actually back on campus in early March. I took a little bit of a sabbatical, and now Larrabee isn't even a dorm. It's some bunch of office space. I think my dorm room is now a conference room. It's kind of crazy. But and make sure I get the right lid and the right one. So my potatoes, my cubed hash brown potatoes are cooking here in our cast iron skillet. And because of that cast iron, it's already starting to get some crispies on it. My mushrooms, zucchini, and summer squash is going here on the back. It says I've got 35 seconds left on my bacon. Let's just take a look. And you know what? It is good. Turn off my alarm, cancel my alarm. So, I don't know if you can see this. I'm just going to set this down on the cast iron because I don't think it's going to hurt. But that is our baked bacon. It stays flat in the oven, which I don't know why. I kind of like flat bacon. It cooks pretty evenly. Like I said, I set this in for a 25-minute timer. Sometimes Melissa likes to go ahead and flip this just to make sure that the top gets to cook a little bit more. One of the benefits of using stone over like just a standard cookie sheet is that the stone holds the heat, and so it'll continue to cook this bacon a little bit more. Our kids kind of like their bacon a little more chewy. Melissa likes her bacon a little more crispy. I'm okay with either one. Bacon is bacon. Bacon's just meant to be eaten. That's it. So, flip all this bacon. This is probably more grease in this than more bacon drippings in here than what we had. What I pulled out for our potatoes. I'm going to set this down over here on this tray because I got steam coming from my potatoes. So we'll kind of let that finish. See, I don't know if you can see, but we're starting to get a little bit of crispiness on those. And now I'm running out of spots to put things. I don't know how those TV chefs end up doing it, where they just seem to always have room for everything. But so potatoes are cooking. Bacon is basically done. My squash is back here. I may need to put a lid on this just so that it'll start to cook a little faster. Probably should have put it on earlier. I didn't realize my hash browns were going to cook that fast either. And Melissa will tell you that usually whenever I cook, I don't talk. I am very zoned in. I don't know.
Isolation.
It's the isolation getting to me, she says. So I'm going to pull out the lid. See if it'll get going. One of the things I really wanted to do, and I'm probably going to fail miserably at this, is I wanted to cook eggs. And if I was to ever do some kind of highlight from this video, I'm hoping that I can flip my eggs and everything goes well. Melissa likes scrambled eggs. I like mine over hard, fried. And so I'm going to put a little bit of non-stick cooking spray on there. Let's see. Becca Smith, yummy. I'll be over soon too. In my mind at least. Sorry, Becca. I know you got a little bit of a drive there from Terre Haute. Actually, it's only 2 hours. You probably could get here just as fast as Sarah could from Oakland City. There's just not a great way to get here from most places. So we're going to do eggs. I've got eggs out. We do a lot of our shopping at Aldi. So their squash and zucchini usually is really good quality. Never had a problem with it. We get our eggs there when we can't get from some of the farmers. We got a couple people in the church who raise chickens. That egg did not crack very well. And so a lot of times we'll try and get fresh eggs from them. I've also got one guy who has a bunch of ducks. At first we used to use duck eggs to make our noodles. Let's make homemade noodles. There's a towel. But whenever we gave up wheat and potatoes through Easter this year, it was kind of hard to use duck eggs for noodles. So I just decided one day I was going to eat some just as regular eggs. They're a little fluffier. I'm not for sure why. I'm going to... They float.
Ducks float.
Ducks float. There you go. So I have here 3 eggs, and this is our smallest skillet. I like to cook my eggs in this. Like I said, we used to go to Waffle House, and I watched them do it. And so Melissa is probably going to scream in terror here in a little bit whenever I try to flip my eggs, but I'm going to try and do it today. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Like I said, I like garlic. And a little bit of paprika, just a common theme for my breakfast. So I'm going to pull out a spatula here and just kind of make sure that the edge, oh no, I missed a spot with my cooking spray. This is not going to flip. Not going to flip. Check my potatoes. I probably did about 5 minutes of prep prior to starting this video. I just kind of got everything out. I'm going to turn my potatoes down. They're starting to get to that nice, good, crunchy spot. And the rain is coming down hard outside. Check my squash. And they're cooking up rather nice. Starting to soften up some. I'm disappointed, guys. I was hoping to show you my egg flipping skills, but I cannot because I did not spray enough cooking spray. So this is going to turn into a light scrambled egg. Pam says hi, Melissa. So far we're about 30 minutes in. I started, I think, about 5 till. And this kind of is breakfast. I like to eat a larger breakfast and kind of a smaller lunch. Most of you guys know, of course, I'm a pastor, and so a lot of times I get into the thick of things at lunch and I don't know what's going to happen, and meetings, and especially now, doing a lot of Zoom meetings and trying to get that done. So I'll eat a bigger breakfast like this and a lighter lunch. And that's not a great thing. So I'm going to go ahead and pull off the bacon now. I think it's probably done cooking. My eggs are done. I'll make Melissa some scrambled eggs. There's my eggs. Turn off my stove. The good thing about doing it in a skillet like this is if you do get it to stick a little bit, just put a little water in it and it'll deglaze that egg off. So you can kind of clean your skillet a little easier. I'm going to try and make Melissa scrambled eggs. And then turn it back on low. Just going to be getting off the bacon. And we're just about ready to eat. Kevin Causey. Oh man, I was hoping to see your egg. You know what? I may just still try and flip an egg. I'm just going to do it. I will flip an egg today. It's going to happen. Kevin, Melissa says that your Baptist peer pressure is playing in. How you doing, man? It's been a while since I've heard from you. I hope you're doing well. I've been still pray for you guys pretty regularly. I know you've had a move or two, I think, in there. Of course, you're not like us Methodists that move pretty regularly. You're welcome, Becca. Enjoy your teased appetite. Maybe you can go find yourself a good breakfast. Hey, G-Man, you know, if you guys are out finding stuff, I'll gladly trade breakfast or food for like mushrooms or something like that. I don't know if you've been out hunting or not. Melissa actually has been doing most of the dishes up to this point. I got really lucky. I will wash these dishes here in a little bit. I'm going to turn off my potatoes. My pan here for the eggs is just about ready. I'm only going to do one so that I can actually make sure that I flip it. And while that pan is getting hot for that, I'm going to get a couple of eggs for Melissa because she likes her scrambled. My plumber guy, who is a member of our trustees, he told me that eggshells are actually good for a garbage disposal. So long as you're not sending a whole bunch down all at once, you can throw eggshells down the garbage disposal.
It's not potato peeling.
Just not potato peelings. Do not. We learned that the hard way in Oakland City. Okay, so my pan is dry and it's warmed up. So I'm going to spray this good this time. Make sure I get that spot that I missed last time. What?
It wasn't Oakland City. It was the people before us in our apartment in Vincent's.
Oh. So I've got 2 eggs in there. Again, I'm going to season these salt, pepper. I like garlic and paprika. Now, like I said, I like my eggs fried. I don't like a runny yolk. I used to when I was younger, but I don't know. I just kind of got to a place where it's just not what I like. So I'm just gonna take this over, kind of show you guys the skillet. So you can see how the eggs will move. It's good, shows that you got a good coat on the nonstick cooking spray. Kevin Causey. Yes, doing well. We are back. You're in your home church in Arkansas? I always wondered about that, whether or not going home was a good thing to do or not. I'm going to start to plate this. Put some potatoes on here. And some potatoes on here. A good cast iron skillet, your potatoes will just crisp up, they don't stick. I don't remember where we got this one from, but we've had it for a long time. Alright, so, yes, I will put this in the microwave. We're going to make some tea. We drink a lot of unsweetened tea. We used to drink sweet tea. And of course, I don't know if he ever gets on Facebook anymore. I'm definitely not going to drink Chris Leak's Southern sweet tea. But so before I flip the egg, I just kind of do one of these once arounds, make sure that the egg is not sticking anywhere, and my egg is nice and loose. So I'm going to let it go just a little bit longer. While our bacon grease is still hot, our bacon drippings, I'm going to put it back into our container, save it for later. Of course, we probably don't need to because our jar is getting full. So yeah, those 7 strips of bacon were about what I used for my potatoes. Alright, so Kevin Causey, here we go. Let me turn this a little bit, give it a little bit more of a wider shot. Just like that. Flip my eggs. Turn this back. So now I need to get ready for Melissa's scrambled eggs. And by then I believe that our squash will be ready and we will have breakfast. Bacon drippings. I guess. Oh, Sean Christopher. Hey Sean, does this make me more southern that I've got a nice big jar of bacon drippings that I keep in my fridge? KFC chicken from the Bahamas. Oh. You know, Sean, I've told that story about KFC chicken from the Bahamas a couple different times to people. I will never get over that. That was hilarious. Stopping in the Bahamas for KFC chicken.
It's a special recipe.
It had to be a special recipe. That's right. KFC Jamaican jerk chicken. I don't know. Alright, let's scramble Melissa's eggs real quick. And non-stick cooking spray. Go ahead and put that up. Our kids have still not come downstairs, so, you know, we'll see what happens. I guess they'll just get leftovers. Kevin, I told you I could do it. Thank you, Gene, as well. All right. A little salt, a little pepper, and start to scramble those eggs. One of the things I've noticed about scrambled eggs is if you let them sit for a little bit, then they'll start to cook. You can always chunk it up later, but it also makes the pan a lot easier to clean if you just kind of let the eggs do their thing. Let's check on our squash. Oh yeah, mushrooms are starting to brown a little bit. Squash is browning, zucchini is browning. It's good. Go ahead and turn that off. Sean, if you are still watching, let me know when you guys are going on your next cruise. Maybe Melissa and I can join you guys. That was a lot of fun. Let's see. So I'm just about done with breakfast here. So I'm going to be signing off here in a little bit. I'll show you my finished product. There's Melissa's scrambled eggs. Turn off my stove. Everything is turned off. Put a couple pieces of bacon on here. I'll show you Melissa's plate because hers is a lot prettier than mine. But there you go. Scrambled eggs, hash brown potatoes, squash and mushrooms and zucchini and some bacon. 2022. You know, that might be far enough away we can make that work. We had to push our London trip back to next year. Oh man. Yeah, I know we had been looking at doing the Holy Land trip, but we had to push that back as well. So, well guys, thank you for watching. I guess I've been on here for about 40 minutes, start to finish, and it's time for us to have breakfast, or at least brunch. I guess if you want to see me do this again or something else, I don't know what I'd do, but there you go, let me know. Good to see y'all, thanks for joining me. Talk to you later guys. We're gonna go eat.